The first time High Executor Zareth of the Valkyrie Dominion saw a human, it was through a containment field. The creature stood inside a reinforced energy cage aboard the Dominion flagship Radiant Judgment, wrists bound in suppression bands. It wore torn military fatigues, dirt streaked across its face, eyes burning not with fear, but defiance. Zareth studied it with thinly veiled disdain. "So this," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber, "is the species that resists integration." Her second-in-command lowered his crested head. "Yes, High Executor. Humans are biologically inferior, technologically backward, and politically fractured. They would make efficient labor units." Zareth nodded. That was the conclusion of every Valkyrie assessment. The humans were resilient but chaotic, useful as miners, soldiers, and industrial workers. Their physical endurance was impressive. Their adaptability was noteworthy. But their governments were divided, their fleets small, their colonies scattered. Slaves with potential. And potential, properly harnessed, strengthened the Dominion. "Begin the compliance demonstration," Zareth ordered. The energy field flickered. The human staggered slightly, but remained standing. "What is your designation?" Zareth asked. The human lifted his chin. "Captain Elias Ward," he replied evenly. His voice surprised her. It was calm, not submissive, not desperate. "You understand your colony has fallen," Zareth continued. "Your fleet has been dismantled. You stand alone." Elias did not break eye contact. "Then why am I still alive?" Zareth smiled faintly. "Because your kind will serve." The Valkyrie Dominion had conquered dozens of systems. Their doctrine was simple: order over chaos, strength over weakness, integration over extinction. Most species surrendered once orbital superiority was established. The Valkyrie did not waste time with negotiations. Those who resisted were crushed swiftly. Those who submitted were absorbed. Humans, however, had proven inconvenient. They sabotaged Dominion supply lines. They launched reckless counterattacks. They evacuated civilians before bombardments with surprising coordination. Their ships, though fewer, fought aggressively. But in the end, numbers and advanced phase weaponry prevailed. The human frontier world of Kasara Prime fell in less than 40 hours. Elias Ward had been captured in the final defensive push. Now he stood before Zareth, the most feared strategist in Valkyrie space. "You will assist us," Zareth said. "Your knowledge of human infrastructure will expedite integration." Elias tilted his head slightly. "Integration?" "Yes." "You mean enslavement?" The chamber grew still. Zareth stepped closer to the containment field. "Your species lacks unity. We will provide it. You lack purpose. We will assign it. You lack order. We will enforce it." Elias' jaw tightened. "You think we don't have purpose?" Zareth dismissed the comment. "Humans fight among themselves constantly. You fracture into nations, ideologies, economic factions. You cannot govern yourselves without conflict." "And you can?" Elias asked. Zareth's eyes flashed. "We have ruled the Dominion for 8 centuries without civil war." Elias leaned slightly forward despite the restraints. "At what cost?" Over the following cycles, Zareth ordered Elias transferred to a restricted research wing rather than labor processing. She told herself it was strategic curiosity. Humans were unpredictable. To control them fully, she needed to understand them. Interrogation sessions began formally. They became something else entirely. "You mistake our divisions for weakness," Elias said during one exchange. "Their competition. Debate. Growth. Growth through conflict wastes resources," Zareth countered. "Growth without challenge breeds stagnation." Zareth paused at that. The Valkyrie valued stability above all. Order was sacred. Rebellion was eradicated instantly. Political discourse was limited to efficiency optimization, not philosophical divergence. Humans tolerate dissent, she said slowly. We protect it, Elias replied, because sometimes the minority is right. Zareth had no immediate rebuttal. Weeks passed. Reports arrived from newly conquered human territories. Uprisings. Coordinated sabotage. Entire mining facilities disabled by internal detonations. Captured human laborers refusing productivity quotas. Zareth read the reports with irritation. They break easily under pressure, her officers insisted. Increase discipline. But Zareth noticed something different. They were not breaking. They were adapting. She summoned Elias again. Your people continue to resist despite hopeless odds, she said. Why? Elias looked tired, but his gaze remained sharp. Because we don't measure odds the way you do. Explain. You see survival as submission to stronger authority. We see survival as preserving choice, even if we lose. Zareth frowned. You are losing. For now. The certainty in his voice unsettled her. You assume eventual victory? She asked. No, Elias said quietly. I assume eventual change. The turning point came unexpectedly. A Valkyrie resource convoy traveling through contested space was ambushed, not by human warships, but by an unknown fleet. The attackers were swift, precise, and devastatingly efficient. 3 Dominion cruisers were destroyed within minutes. Intelligence identified them as the Dravari Collective, a rival expansionist power long contained beyond the outer sectors. The Dominion had overextended. By committing fleets to human subjugation, they had weakened border defenses. Zareth studied the tactical display in stunned silence. This is impossible, her second-in-command whispered. The Dravari would not risk open conflict. They would, Zareth replied coldly, if they sensed vulnerability. Another transmission arrived. Dravari forces had attacked 2 additional systems. The Dominion Council demanded immediate reinforcement. Zareth did the calculations in her mind. To repel the Dravari, she would need every available fleet, including those stationed over human worlds. If she withdrew forces, human uprisings would intensify. If she didn't, the Dravari would carve into Dominion core space. For the first time in her career, Zareth faced a no-win scenario. She ordered Elias brought to her private strategy chamber. You requested knowledge of our weaknesses, he said when he entered. I assume you found one. Zareth did not waste time. The Dravari are attacking our borders. Our fleets are stretched thin. Elias absorbed the information quickly. You need soldiers, he said. Yes. You have them. Zareth stiffened. Human slaves are unreliable. Elias met her eyes. Human allies aren't. Silence hung between them. You expect us to arm a subjugated species? She asked incredulously. I expect you to recognize reality, Elias replied. You can fight us and the Dravari at the same time and lose both wars, or you can fight beside us and win one. Zareth paced slowly. This could be deception. Of course it could, Elias admitted. But you don't have better options. He stepped closer. You think we're slaves because we're divided, because we argue, because we challenge authority. He gestured toward the tactical map. But that same unpredictability makes us adaptable, creative, dangerous. Zareth stared at the holographic display of advancing Dravari fleets. You would fight for us? She asked. Elias shook his head. We'd fight for ourselves. And right now, the Dravari threaten both of us. The Dominion Council erupted in outrage when Zareth proposed a temporary armistice with human forces. Madness, one counselor hissed through the hololink. They are conquered property. They are a resource, Zareth corrected coldly. And we are under external assault. You would arm them? I would utilize them. The council hesitated. Desperation tipped the scales. Authorization was granted, with severe oversight. Zareth returned to Elias. You have one opportunity, she said. Prove your species' value. Elias extended his bound hands. Then let us fight. The first joint operation occurred in the Kasara sector, the very system humans had defended weeks before. Valkyrie cruisers held formation in high orbit. Human strike craft launched from reclaimed hangars. Zareth observed from the command deck as human pilots executed maneuvers Dominion algorithms would never predict. They baited Dravari ships into asteroid clusters. They sacrificed smaller craft to expose shield weaknesses. They exploited minor timing gaps with ruthless precision. Valkyrie officers watched in astonishment. They disregard optimal survival probabilities, one murmured. They prioritize mission success, Zareth corrected. The combined fleet pushed the Dravari back. Then they counterattacked. Within 3 cycles, the Dravari offensive collapsed entirely. The Dominion border stabilized. And something far more dangerous began to shift. Valkyrie soldiers who had fought alongside humans returned with stories. They improvise under fire. They adapt instantly. They protect each other without orders. They saved our cruiser during retreat. The narrative of human inferiority fractured. Zareth stood once more before Elias in the command chamber. You have altered perceptions, she said. Perceptions were wrong, he replied. You could have turned on us during battle. Yes. But you did not. No. Why? Elias considered carefully. Because freedom earned through trust is stronger than freedom stolen through chaos. Zareth felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Respect. The Dominion Council convened again. Reports confirmed that human cooperation had saved multiple core systems. Dravari forces retreated entirely. Some counselors still argued for renewed subjugation. Others hesitated. Zareth addressed them without emotion. We miscalculated human nature. They are not disorder to be corrected. They are potential to be aligned. Aligned? One counselor scoffed. Yes, Zareth said calmly. As partners. Gasps echoed through the chamber. To enslave a species capable of equal alliance, she continued, is strategic stupidity. Debate raged. But the data was undeniable. Human forces had fought effectively, efficiently, honorably. The council voted. By narrow margin, the Dominion declared a conditional alliance treaty with the human coalition. Elias stood beside Zareth as the announcement transmitted across both civilizations. You've just undone centuries of doctrine, he said quietly. No, she replied. I have evolved it. Ending. Years later, the Valkyrie Dominion and the human coalition would stand as twin pillars in a fragile but enduring alliance. Trade routes reopened. Joint academies trained officers from both species. Cultural exchanges replaced prison transports. And the term slave vanished from official Dominion doctrine. On the observation deck of the Radiant Judgment, Zareth stood beside Elias, watching ships from both civilizations cross the stars together. I once believed your species required control, she said softly. Elias smiled faintly. And now? Now I understand you required respect. She turned toward him fully. I thought humans were slaves. Elias met her gaze without bitterness. And then, Zareth allowed herself the smallest nod. Then I faced one. And in that moment, she realized something that would reshape the Dominion forever. Strength was not proven by domination. It was proven by the courage to reconsider. The stars beyond no longer looked like territory to conquer. They looked like horizons to share.